If reading music feels way more complicated than it should, like your brain just can't quite keep up with what's on the page, there's a good chance you're doing something that seems completely reasonable, but it's an approach that will never actually work in real time. And the frustrating part is that nobody told you it wouldn't work, because in the beginning, it does work, just not for long. It's the first of many steps. So here's what this usually looks like. Someone sees a note on a page, they figure out what it is, they move on to the next one, figure that out, and then they try to piece it all together while their hands are moving. And that makes sense. It's a logical approach. The problem is that it creates a bottleneck that just gets worse as the music becomes more complex, because every single note ends up being a transaction, a question that has to be answered before you can move on. And if you're holding all of those answers in your head at the same time, trying to assemble them into something meaningful, that's a lot of weight for your brain to carry. It's what we call a heavy cognitive load. So maybe let's look at the piano for a minute, at the staff. And if we think about a simple note example, maybe like a chord, a C major chord, and I will use treble clef just to really make this as simple as possible. Let's say that I have C, E, and G. Now I'm going to spread these out. This is what we call a broken chord. A blocked chord would just be if these same notes were stacked up. A lot of times I like to call this like a little snowman. But anyway, so basically what your brain is having to think that, okay, this is a C. And then we have to think, all right, this is an E. And this is a G. C, E, G. Oh, that might make a major triad. Well, at this point, it doesn't really matter. It's great that you can see that relationship, but I wouldn't say it's the most important thing if you're still just learning to read the music. You could liken this a little bit to learning your letters and your sounds when you're first learning to read words. If we have the word cat, we have C-A-T, k-a-t, right? Remember when you were learning to sound out words? That was the first step, and it was a necessary step. But it's not a place we can stay because it's not going to work in real time, especially as things become more complex. So, and you can really hear why that doesn't work at any kind of tempo. So the issue isn't that the process is too slow yet, it's that this process has a ceiling that you can never get past. When you're identifying each note individually, holding them in working memory, sorting them, and then trying to determine what they all mean, all of that is happening in the part of your brain that handles conscious problem solving. It's doing real cognitive work on every single note. And this is necessary for a short period of time, but remember, it's not a place we want to stay. There's only so much of that kind of bandwidth in your brain that's available at any one time. When the music gets harder or faster, or when both hands are involved, that system gets overloaded, and pretty quickly. Something has to give. Usually it's the rhythm or the tone, or you lose your place entirely, maybe all of those things. But it's really not that you're not working hard enough. It's that the approach itself has a built-in limit. So now here's where I want to be careful, because this is the part that gets misunderstood. This is a real progression in how music reading develops. You do start with individual notes. That's not wrong. Learning to recognize notes is the first step, and that absolutely does need to happen. But fluent reading doesn't come from getting faster at naming notes. It comes from needing to name them less. Over time, the brain stops treating each note as a separate question to answer. It starts recognizing the relationships between the notes, the distance, the spacing, the shape they form on the page, and those relationships start to carry the meaning directly without naming the steps in between, just like the word cat. For a while, yes, cat, but pretty soon that simply becomes cat. We see this as one unit. Kind of think about how we process phone numbers, for one thing. We don't look at, shall we say, seven separate 4, 5, 6, 7 digits. We tend to see this in a group of 3 and a group of 4. That's our brain being efficient. Yes, at first, do we need to recognize these individual numbers? Sure. But at some point, our brain needs to chunk them in order to reduce the cognitive load. So let's go back to the piano here for a minute. And let's just clear this off because I've made a bit of a mess. Let's put these same 3 notes back on the staff. I have C, E, and G. And now, instead of playing them as 3 separate notes, I'm going to look at this as more of one single unit. C, just like I did cat. C, E, G. I'm seeing this as one chunk of information, and that's a lot less cognitive load. It's the same notes, but I'm not thinking about the letter names. I'm looking at the distance between them. I'm looking at the shape, how far apart they sit. No pause, no sorting. The information is just coming in differently. So one of the things I might see is the fact that these are a third apart. And if you know what intervals are, or even if you don't, an interval is just the distance between 2 notes. So from C to E on the piano, C, D, E, is a distance of a third, or 3 pitches. It's the same on the staff, 1, 2, 3. That's a third apart. I can see that E and G are also a third apart. So I'm seeing the shape here. I'm looking at one big chunk. So when people say that you need to learn your notes, that is true. That part is real. But it doesn't mean your brain should still be running that same process while you're playing. That's the part that gets skipped over, and it's where a lot of people get stuck. They solidify note recognition, which is good, but then they try to keep using it as their primary reading strategy, which keeps them at a ceiling they really can't break through. The notes are the foundation, but at some point, what you're reading isn't notes anymore. It's intervals, it's shapes, patterns, and naming doesn't help you get there faster. It's actually what you're trying to move away from. So if this sounds like where you are right now, if reading still feels like a series of questions you have to answer one at a time, that's not a sign that you're slow or that you've hit some kind of limit. It's just a sign that the process you're using was always meant to be temporary, and that the next step is not more of the same. It's actually a different way of looking at the page. And that shift is teachable. It doesn't happen automatically with more practice, but it does happen when you know what you're actually trying to build toward. If this is where you're stuck, this is exactly the kind of thing that I work through with adult students step by step. Because once that shift starts to happen, reading starts to feel manageable in a completely different way. There's a link below for a reading assessment that if you would like to meet with me, I would be more than happy to help you work through some of these issues and help you get pointed in the right direction. So I hope this has been helpful, and if it has, check out some of my other videos.